Thursday afternoon. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Diane Phillips with
Stone Shaver.
Yeah, we're hanging out today. I almost kind of forgot what day it was. I was thinking it was Wednesday, but it is Thursday. We don't want to go back in time here this week. So we were happy.
Some people might. The weather was nice yesterday.
Oh, that is true.
But it is nice. I think it's pretty nice outside right now. So
yeah, not too bad. We had a few of those stray showers, but yeah, yesterday was great. Are you a fan of the 80s or would you rather have 70s?
I'm probably more of the 70s type, but it was still nice yesterday. The winds helped. I think the North Dakota time of me, the winds, I'm just so used to it now because it's windy every day there.
Right, you're just kind of numb to the feeling.
The wind, what is it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a normal part of your life. You're used to it. But yeah, yesterday was absolutely amazing. Now, I would prefer probably 80s over 70s myself. Always kind of love the summer season, so I was kind of happy to finally have some 80s. I would like to see more in the forecast, but a little bit cooler today. We have some 70s coming in. We're going to also be first alerting you to wildfire smoke potential that's still kind of hanging around. We're still going to be talking about the latest in our forecast. We actually were able to make some changes about some of the rain chances. So if you have some weekend plans, you'll be happy to hear about that. Plus, we are also going to be talking about a northern lights chance. You were actually kind of keeping an eye to this earlier. So.
Yeah, I've seen a few posts already starting up on Facebook from other sources, and I think that chance is there. It is small, but every once in a while you get one of these small chances that overperforms, and the next thing you know, a lot of people have photos.
Right, so that's what we're going to be talking about, kind of when and where and the timing and, well, the trickiness of the timing too. So we're going to be talking, of course, about all of those here as we go throughout our hit. So let's just kind of dive right into the data now that we've had a couple of folks join us here. So we are finding that our temperatures are a little bit cooler today. Yesterday we were sitting into the 80s, and now we're into the 70s. We have 72 in Alma, we have 71 in Mount Pleasant. We're looking at 70 degrees in Midland and Saginaw. And we also have 72 in Flint. Now, earlier today, we were seeing a lot of our readings that were actually sitting into the 60s there. So they have warmed up. Just for kind of comparison, after we had those 80s yesterday, you're going to find a lot of us are finding those readings nearly 10 to 15 degrees cooler. Look at Port Hope, though.
I was going to say, some big temperature differences there, which, again, not a surprise. There were areas yesterday afternoon getting closer to the 90s.
Right.
So we were there. It was a nice day. It still is nice out there. We're above average or at average in many locations.
Right. We're pretty close to it, kind of going back. Our normal high is about 75. So that's where we're at in Gladwin and Clare and West Branch. But they've had a lot more sun earlier today.
That's true. That sun really helps. And I think that was sort of what was mentioned yesterday here, too, was like that sun can get out into the afternoon, you get a little bit warmer, and that's what we're seeing. Now, there's still some cloud cover out there right now, really through the heart of the region, showing that clouds. There's still a few areas of light showers, maybe some showers entering the Bay City area right now. I don't think it's anything long-term. It'll be quick and out of there in no time, but enough you'll notice it if you're out and about. A few sprinkles of rain on your windshield. Maybe you need to turn the wipers on real quick, then it'll be dry.
Right, just to get them
one
off.
time and then
hopefully, it's just a one-time clean sweep, and then you're in better shape. But you can kind of see where that stationary front is. We have that band of clouds that's just kind of sitting there. So stationary front is pretty tricky for us. I know I've been mentioning that on air here this week. It's a little bit frustrating for meteorologists because they kind of set up and then they can play with your temperatures, and then they just kind of have moisture. They're able to kind of pull those rain chances in. So just as you can see, we still have some scattered showers that are hanging around, and even a few more that are off towards our west. So we'll kind of keep an eye to them because we have a lot of things going on tonight. We have a party in McCarty that's going to be kicking off tonight. It's the first one of the season. We also have Frankie Moose Funtown Chow Down with the food truck, so that's always a fun one. That's a yummy one to go to. I thought there was another one that we had discussed. There's just so many things going on.
We're getting to that season. Every weekend there's going to be more and more events that you can go to, and hopefully the weather can hold off. And again, that rain out there towards Ludington, the good thing, I don't think it's anything long term.
Right. And the thing is, we've also been seeing a lot of these showers as they come through. They kind of have been falling apart and
really
dissipating.
Struggling.
So if you have plans tonight, if you're going to be going to Party on McCarty, if you're going to be going to Frankie and Muth for food trucks tonight, have your First Alert weather app, but it's looking overall pretty favorable. Definitely better than what it was earlier this week.
Yeah, definitely better. Those numbers are continuing to drop, so always a good thing.
And kind of a broken record here. I know we just keep talking about the wildfire smoke, but it just won't go away. It is kind of stuck here. It's kind of locked in. So our air quality is still sitting in that moderate stage. We've kind of been here now since about Tuesday. So I'm glad that we haven't fallen back into that unhealthy zone. But we haven't gotten back to the good yet either. So, of course, when we're in the moderate, you can have a small group of people who are maybe saying, yep, I'm still kind of feeling it. I'm a little more, affected when that smoke comes in. So thankfully, we haven't dropped, but we still are seeing some air quality impacts. As far as the smoke trying to clear out, well, first things first, I actually want to show you our map that we have here of our wildfire tracker. Of course, our eyes kind of go directly west into Western Canada, where we do have the wildfires that are still burning there. The ones in Central Canada that were really
that was a large area, Manitoba, into that area. Yeah, pretty much central portions of Canada. A lot of improvement there, so that's a good thing.
Yes.
Those really the smoke that got to us the quickest.
Yes.
So it's good to see those smokes, those fires have started to get sort of down and out. But still have a lot of them out there to the far west, but that's the smoke that by the time we get here, luckily a lot of it sort of fades, and that's what we're getting today. Also, a lot of our smoke was from sort of Tennessee area, got stuck there with a few of the systems in the atmosphere and didn't really move, and then got pulled in this morning. So that's sort of been what we're seeing as well.
Yeah, a lot of the smoke has just kind of been around in that wind direction. We haven't found a clear direction to get clear air in. And as you mentioned, glad to see that the smoke is now going to have to travel a little bit longer, so it's able to be a little bit thinner, disperse a little bit. But I do kind of want to zoom in closer to home, because that's going to kind of explain what we have going on when we look at our model. So you can kind of see that we do have that fire icon in northern Clare County. So we haven't heard from any fire departments or anything that there is an active fire. Of course, a lot of this is also taken by satellite data.
I was just saying, that's that northern Clare County fire has been mostly detected by satellite. So it could be just something was shining just right and the satellite detects it. Because another thing is, you see that in Detroit there is a fire. It's hard to tell because the Detroit logo is blocking it, but that's right around the Ford plant. So that could be just city that's saying there's a fire there, but there really isn't that fire around the Ford facility. So not all the fire icons here means there's fires. We'll keep an eye on it, though, to see how there could be a small fire that maybe hasn't been picked up on yet, or maybe has been contained. I know that one towards Grand Rapids, Big Rapids area, a few weekends ago, there was a fire there, got contained pretty quickly, though.
Yes, and this is also just a good reminder, because I know there in northern Clare County, there's a lot of campgrounds there. So if you're going to maybe be camping here this weekend, have a bucket of water by your bonfire. Also check for burn bans, of course, locally, and if you go on vacation too, make sure that you are following the rules while you're there, and just kind of be smart with fire. I love a good s'more, and so I don't want to, stop the fun, but I want everybody to be safe and kind of, watch out for all of us.
Yeah, 'cause like I've said before here on our 2 p.m. streams, is like, you don't want to start the fires here.
Right.
We don't want the smoke, right? We don't want to be the source of that smoke like Canada has been for the last couple of weeks, because it can happen. We have a lot of trees. We have a lot of forests that, we've been dry in some areas. So we have Drought Monitor that gets updated this morning. Not much change on it, but it's there. It's dry. And we'll take a look at Drought Monitor real quick. What we see is there hasn't been much change. The only areas that lost their abnormal dryness was down to the far southwest. So we've held on to what we've had here over the last really few months, especially with that severe drought towards Midland and Bay City. Yeah,
that has been there almost as long as I can remember. So we are going to, of course, hope that we can get a little bit of rainfall in, but it's just going to take so long.
Yeah.
And the other thing to keep in mind is the Drought Monitor. This is kind of still a longer term forecast. And we've been hearing from a lot of folks in multiple towns to where somebody says, hey, I could really use some water. And then we hear from somebody a couple of streets over and they say, I don't need any more water, or I do.
Yeah.
So
I think Bay City's been one of those areas where we'll have someone comment, I don't need any more rain. And then the next comment says, we really need rain in Bay City. So just because your grass is wet doesn't mean your neighbor's isn't going to be wet. It could be very dry. So just remember that. This is a very vague representation as well, because it's just sort of covering a large area. So again, your grass might be underwater, but there may be a house 2 miles down the road that's very dry.
Right, and the other thing to consider is that they're also going to talk about the soil below the ground. So it's not just how does the grass look, it is actually what are we looking at 6 to 8 inches below, and you might be soggy up top, but it hasn't really absorbed down yet. So that's why I have a little bit of patience with the Drought Monitor, because I know a lot of you have said, hey, I need this or that at my house. So just know that we do hear you, but we do not create the Drought Monitor either. Our partners do that for us. Before we take a quick break, let's talk though, still some smoke and kind of looking ahead, because we had mentioned that Clare County, northern Clare County portion. So again, we don't have any active reports of fire there, but just wanting to kind of point out overall, we have a plume that comes in here for the afternoon and still around for 6, 7 o'clock this evening. So again, if you're going to be headed to some of the local events, just know that you're going to have a little bit of a hazy sunset while you're out there. But look at that, it actually starts to kind of thin out a little bit overnight. So that's going to be a welcome sign for us. And then going throughout the day on Friday, it does try to kind of fill in just a little bit, but I'm going to take this kind of as a win.
Oh yeah, definitely a win, because we've been pretty heavy even at the surface over the last really 2 weeks now. So always good to see that improvement. There's still going to be some smoke aloft, I believe. I was looking at the models earlier. There's still going to be smoke aloft. So you will see probably not as blue skies. You just get that like sort of white haze that we've been seeing. The sun will be a little bit discolored at times. But I think a good thing is hopefully our air qualities will really start to improve as that smoke leaves the surface.
Yes, and another thing that I want to remind folks, I actually just pre-programmed in the First Alert Weather app to where you can get that latest smoke information every day at 10 o'clock in the morning. So we send out a push alert on the First Alert Weather app. I better get that up in case you don't have it. But in the app, you'll get a push alert. We just started them, and you'll be able to look at the same surface smoke model that we are looking at. And so it's going to kind of be in the short term. You're only going to have about today and tomorrow when you get that, but you're going to find that a lot of it is going to be kind of holding together in that forecast. So though it's going to kind of be sitting out there, we wanted to have a good resource that you could always rely on, because the smoke has just kind of been hanging out here for a while yet. So just be a little bit patient with it. But Stone, now it's time for a quick break. We still have to talk about northern lights, and we'll also be talking about some of those drier conditions for the weekend. So stay tuned. That information is still coming up. And welcome back, First Alert Meteorologist Diane Phillips and First Alert Meteorologist Stone Schaefer. We were talking about wildfire smoke, and now we have some improvements to the weekend forecast. So
improvements all over the board here. That's a good thing. Maybe less smoke, maybe less rain.
Right.
I think that's a good weekend.
I was really worried earlier in the week. Yes. I remember I was talking with Matthew, and I was like, the weekend does not look good, and we don't want that here in June when a lot of us want to be outside. So I'm glad to kind of have some good news for you here this afternoon. Starting out with our latest hour-by-hour forecast, you can kind of see it's picking up on some of those showers. It has one there by Big Rapids just coming in to Isabella County. So as we go here through the next couple of hours, you will see that just a couple of showers try to come through, but a lot of us do actually dry out this evening. But again, if you have a couple of showers, open up your First Alert Weather app, kind of zoom in on your location. It should just be a lighter rain, but just be prepared.
I don't think it's going to be anything that ruins your day. I think that's how we can say
right.
You're going to be able to still have your plans. I know there's, again, a lot of things going on. The Loons are in town.
Yes.
They'll have a good, probably decently good afternoon to get out there. If you haven't gotten a game this year, that'll be a good day to go out there.
Right, and also we had covered on Monday in the floor, in case you hadn't heard, tonight, because we're both CMU alum, it's CMU Alumni Night. So we're probably going to have to skip work to go.
Yeah,
Maybe. We'll have to see if we can get that approved. But we will talk about that Loons forecast coming up. But I do want to kind of update on Friday, because we have just a couple of showers that can come here through tonight. So we're still going to keep that stray kind of spotty shower chance. But then we will see that we have some rainfall that's off towards our north. So as we go throughout the day, we'll kind of have that path where a lot of that rain just stays north, and we can pick up still on a handful of showers. But the coverage is not nearly as strong as what it once was. So actually here at lunchtime, I did drop us down to that 20% for our rain coverage, just because an isolated shower or two is possible. But this is looking a lot better than what it was yesterday, even.
Yeah, definitely seeing less that rain chance. It sort of split up more and more as we got through the week, where this was sort of one big area of rain on Sunday and Monday. Then as we got to Tuesday, it sort of split a little bit more, but still in our area. And then as we got to yesterday, it really started to split up. I know when I got here in the morning, Matthew was like, yeah, that really splits up to the north and south, because there's another system to the south. But that's even moving farther south the last model run I looked. So we'll just keep splitting it, and we'll keep being dry, hopefully, through Friday.
Right, we'll split it kind of right down the middle, and that's where we are at. So yeah, you will see kind of that system doesn't really even kind of knock on the door Saturday morning. We'll have some sun, some clouds, but as we go through the day, nothing is showing up here on the latest model run, which I'm okay with on a Saturday to have some drier weather. So we are still going to keep an isolated shower chance. This is just kind of the early look at the data as far as that accuracy kind of growing, or that confidence growing in the forecast. We'll have that, of course, building in, but we're talking nowadays about a window of 1 to 2 days that confidence really starts to latch in. So thankfully, though, we have been able to drop, again, Friday and Saturday down to 20% chances for that rainfall. We talked about the Loons game tonight, the one that we want to be at. Maybe a little bit cooler than last night's game. They had 80s for first pitch. Another reminder is a lot of the games are starting now at 7:05. They have been starting at 6:05, but now that we're a little bit later into the season, they did bump them back an hour. So make sure you're checking that schedule. I'm sure you have it on the fridge probably. But we'll have 70s still at first pitch, and then we will go back into the 60s for the rest of the game. So you may still want to have your favorite Loons hoodie ready to go, and of course the ball cap, but no matter how hot it is, you got to have your baseball cap on. But we do, as you can see here, plan on having some drier weather for the game tonight. As I had mentioned, we were talking about the weekend forecast. So this is Saturday, where we do still have kind of those isolated showers, but Sunday's looking pretty good. We got partly to mostly cloudy skies. I'm hoping to bring even more sunshine in by then.
I was going to say, hopefully those clouds will start to leave. Another nice thing, too, is winds looking to calm down for the weekend, because we were breezy yesterday.
Yes.
And even last weekend, we had winds that I know some people were like, well, this sort of ruined it, this nice weekend. And even though they weren't that strong, they were noticeable last weekend at times. And then it sort of carried in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday obviously was a breezy day yesterday. Now we're looking to stay calmer with those winds. So for someone that has been like, oh, we've been pretty windy, you get a few days here of calmer winds.
And that would also help with the smoke too, potentially, to where we're not really sourcing it in. As you can see, Sunday we kind of have it light and variable. So hopefully that can kind of help us to keep that smoke very, very thin to where it's a little more comfortable.
Hopefully the only smoke you see is from the grills.
Yes,
That'd be nice.
because it is Father's Day, and I do have a Father's Day forecast coming up here. I know we got a little preview here, but it looks like it's time for us to take one more break. We are still going to be talking about Northern Lights. Stick with us. We want to save the best for last, because we always love that. So again, we're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We have been talking about wildfire smoke, and we kind of got a little taste of that Father's Day forecast. Are you doing anything special with Dad?
No, I'm not.
I know you're here, but
I'll be in the building, keeping an eye on the weather. I know my mom called yesterday, was like, you remember it's Father's Day on Sunday, right? I'm like, yes, I remember it's Father's Day. I'll give him a call. We'll see. Me and my brother usually try to plan out a gift for everyone when we get to this time, with Mother's Day or Father's Day.
Right,
So
you got to work together.
I'll have to talk to him, see what he thinks to get. I think he had some ideas. We talked about it a couple days ago.
Oh, that helps. See, the teamwork. So if you're thinking still about some gifts for Dad, you'll have to maybe phone in a friend and come up with some ideas. I know I put my card in the mail the other day, so I'm hoping that it arrives right on time to get there before Sunday. But we haven't forgot about Father's Day. So for all the dads, it looks like once you kind of get that card, maybe you're going to be putting it on the fridge or your desk. But we will have 76 for the high on Sunday. And this one has been trending dry the whole time.
It's been trending dry. It's been trending upward with temperatures because yesterday, if you tuned into our 2 p.m. stream, we had highs at 73. So we've gained a few degrees. We've stayed with that partly to mostly cloudy, but I think we're starting to trend maybe towards more of that partly cloudy than the mostly cloudy. So always a good thing to see that trend upwards, especially I know people are going to want to get outdoors. Like I said earlier, do some grilling, do some just anything, fishing, playing some sports. Could be a pretty nice day for Father's Day.
Right, and the Loons are home on Sunday, so it might be a great day to go to the ball diamond. So there's a lot of things that you can do with Dad, and it's going to be a great day to get outside. Like you said, the grills, the barbecuing smoke, that'll probably be in the forecast by Sunday. So if you're going to hang out with Dad on Sunday or even on Saturday, both days are looking pretty good to be spending some time outside with the family, getting everybody together. All right, I'm not going to make everybody wait any longer. There is a slight chance of the Northern Lights tonight. I'm going to put the disclaimer here. It's not a slam dunk forecast. No. Whenever we talk about Northern Lights, it's always tricky because we're trying to get the solar flare timing out right.
The timing's a big thing because I know, was it 2 weekends ago maybe? Was it a weekend ago? I can't remember now. We had the big event that everyone was like, oh, you need to get outdoors. You need to get out the doors. The issue was that energy reached us early in the morning, like 7, 8 a.m. So a lot of that energy wasn't available for us to see up in the atmosphere. So by the time we got to the night, later in the night, well, it was already pretty weak. There were still some areas to the far north that got that chance. So that's always an issue, is the timing of this energy from the sun. And again, we get cloud cover, and this one's sort of a mystery too because it's sort of been a surprise. I don't think much was really talked about this till really today, because that sometimes happens where you maybe just miss a small amount of energy leaving the sun, because there's always energy leaving the sun.
Yes.
So there is that chance. I'll say this won't be the only chance. It does look like we'll have chances on Saturday, possibly, so that's always a good thing. If you miss out tonight, that chance right now, again, there's still a lot that could change.
A lot of timing. Yes. And the other thing you consider is that we are coming up very closely to the summer solstice. So we have really long days. Our sunset tonight doesn't happen until 9:16 p.m. So then we got to wait even for, because that daylight will hold a little bit, probably till about 9:30, 9:45. So we got to wait till at least 10 o'clock.
And I would say tonight looks like the most energy is going to be right around 10, 11. So
there's a chance.
There's a chance. Yeah. But the energy is not the greatest time. It needs to be a little bit later in the night because our best time frame is really right around midnight to 3 a.m.
But I'm asleep by then.
Yeah, I know.
That's always the hard part. We all gotta get those Z's and make sure that we're ready, because tomorrow will be Friday. I remember what day of the week that it was. But so if you do have the chance to see those northern lights, some tips that are helpful: go to those darker areas and let your eyes adjust. If you have 30 minutes, just kind of sit out there, enjoy it, let your eyes adjust, and get away from the light pollution, the city lights. That will help. Another thing is, and like what I like to do, if there's even the smallest of chance, because it's just so hard for your eyes to kind of see it at first, is I hold up my cell phone and I put up the camera, because then your phone can kind of, with the wavelength, see that a little bit better. So try it with your cell phone, see if they're maybe out there, because there's been times I can't see it with my bare eye, but my cell phone is still able to detect them. So you may have a chance. If you do get that photo, you can send it in to us on the First Alert Weather app. We actually had some pretty cool photos come in. Let's see if maybe I can pull them up fairly quickly. We had one of a really nice sunset that was sent in on the app here.
And I will do a reminder that this is sort of out of the weather world. Make sure you're not invading anyone's private property if you go out, because a lot of times those are areas out in the middle of nowhere that have the least amount of lighting. It could be private property. You don't want to get in trouble for that. I know when we had some of the big events, that was a big thing for some areas down in, where that sort of the heart of the auroras when we had that big event last year was
in May.
Was people going into other people's properties, and obviously they may not like you there. So just be careful of that when it comes to looking for any of our northern lights, especially during this time of year.
Yeah, so here's one photo that I can share with everybody, actually. Here it is. So Dion sent this one. Dion's actually been kind of a regular poster on the app, so I appreciate Dion once again for kind of sharing his photo. But this was in Midland he captured, and that sun just red and on fire. You can definitely tell the smoke having its own kind of filter here in this image, so kind of cool to catch a sunset like that.
And that's, again, all because that smoke really helps that discoloration. So once we get rid of that smoke, you don't have as many chances to see some cool sights like that. I know it's not the nicest when that smoke is not at the when it's at the surface and it's impacting air quality. So it's sort of a hit or miss thing when it comes to how you can enjoy it.
Yes, and then here's another one. This one's from Rosaline of the Strawberry Moon. So that happened 2 nights ago on Tuesday. So what a great shot. I know we did have a little bit of cloud cover out there, but she actually sent in 2 photos of our full moon of the month. It's the only one we don't have a blue moon situation of 2 months or 2 moons in a month. So we have that look there from Rosaline. So thank you for sharing that one with us. And also, let me go and pull up our 7-day forecast here because we haven't talked about that yet. So this is kind of the full picture of what we're watching.
Yeah, so you'll be looking at 70s to enter the week. The good thing is that's a warm up because we were maybe pointing out 60s Friday, especially. A lot of the models were suggesting 60s for Friday, now jumped back up to the 70s, and that will hang around into our weekend. Then next week, we're maybe up. Not maybe, we're looking to be sitting back into those mid to lower 80s. We do reintroduce a rain chance starting Tuesday into Wednesday, but it does look like a drier start to next week and more enjoyable conditions, at least for Monday into Tuesday.
Yes, and as we had mentioned, we did kind of lower those rain chances for Friday and Saturday. If you have plans right now, I'm going to keep my plans for the weekend.
I think keep your plans because it's not going to be a widespread thing. Not going to be a long-term thing either. If you do get a rain, probably 2 to 5 minutes, unless you get unlucky, you get a few cells that develop and line up, because that can happen when you get a stationary front. You just get development just sort of line itself up where you get rain, dry, but it looks like that's going to be on the smaller scale, if anything.
Exactly. So, of course, the full 7-day forecast is always on the TV5 First Alert weather app. That's always a great spot to get that information, and, of course, to keep an eye on some of these spotty showers as we go into the evening. We want to thank everybody for joining us here once again this afternoon. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. for our update. Of course, you can catch us on Facebook, YouTube at WNEM.com, on the TV5 News app, and you can also catch us on the Roku and Fire Stick channels that we have, and we're also on Apple and Android TV. So there's no way that you should not be watching us. And if your friends are maybe wanting to catch us, but they're at work, tell them that they can re-watch this on YouTube. That's going to kind of be the best replay because I know we kind of do this in the middle of the day while we're all working. So just encourage everybody, if you had something really interesting, tell them to come back and watch us later. We also have, of course, the delay on Facebook, so you can kind of watch it on there too a little bit later. But we thank you again for joining us this afternoon, and we'll see you tomorrow.